Greetings my dear friends, Dragon here once again, finally back with the rest of the new arrivals from last month. Sorry I have dropped the ball completely with posting new videos quite a lot recently. It's been a hellish month. June was a bit of a month of shit. One of my very close family members diagnosed with a really nasty form of cancer, so I kind of had to drop everything. He lives in a different city, so I've been having to kind of travel back and forth quite a lot to check in on him, work out what our next step is going to be as a family, all that sort of crazy stuff. So apologies to you all. Thank you very much for sticking with the channel if you have done so. Thank you if you're a new subscriber. Business will return to some sort of normality pretty soon, I hope, because I still have to announce the winners for the 1K poster competition, which I am going to do very, very soon. Again, apologies for that taking so long. I think I'm about 2 weeks late with that. Let's get through this enormous box. Gonna have to do this quick because, as you can see, there was quite a lot of stuff came in last month. So let us get into it, my friends. Okay, first up, and one that I've already done an unboxing for. This was Second Sight's glorious release of Drive, the Nicholas Winding Refn's classic. But as many of you may know, if you watched my unboxing, I weirdly got a book that was all printed entirely upside down, which was a bit bizarre. Not the end of the world, obviously the book is still the same, but Second Sight are bloody amazing, and I let them know about it, and they very, very kindly sent me a replacement book, along with a wee stack of Second Sight cards, Sweet Bruges card, Sensor card, Paranormal Activity, and Dawn of the Dead card, along with a book printed the right way. Apparently, from what they've said, they've not known of any other versions that have been printed upside down, so I have myself a very bizarre little kind of wee extra collectible for my set. So thank you again, a huge shout out to April from Second Sight. So they really didn't need to do that. I didn't get the set from them direct, I got it from Amazon, so technically this should have been a case of just sending the whole box set back and getting a replacement, but I quite like having a weird little oddity. So yeah, that was the first one, and a happy end to a weird story. But yeah, Second Sight, incredible customer service. Thank you again to April. Next one up that I've already done an unboxing for, this was the glorious Japanese version of Robert Eggers' The Lighthouse, with Robert Pattinson and William Dafoe in a very nice kind of wood sailors or lighthouse keepers style box. Pretty damn funky. Again, unboxing for that is already up. Next up was one in from the States. This is the Pain Box edition, the Ben Gesserit Pain Box edition of June, which is one of the weirdest, lightest box sets I've ever received. Also one of the most pain in the arsey ones to take out. But you get this little pain box that I can pop my hand into and test myself. Box is extremely light, just a kind of laminated cardboard, I think, not plastic. And then we get this pretty minimal design, which, as anyone who watches my channel a bit will know, I'm a big fan of minimal design. And then inside we just get the regular Blu-ray slip there. A really nice little set. I don't know if I'll try and find a nicer version to go inside the box at some stage, but crazy how light this is. This is just, yeah, I thought that they'd sent it without anything inside it when it arrived. It's so light, but I think that was a Walmart or Target exclusive. I'm not entirely sure, but I'd say kind of came from the States. Another one that I've already done an unboxing for, so I won't take this out of the pack just now, but that was the Netflix promo version of David Fincher's Mindhunter Season 1. One that I've been after for a long time, so go and check out the unboxing for that. It was a glorious, not really an official release as such, it was just a promo sent out for your consideration for the Emmys, I believe. And a great little set. One that I teased out in my community tab, because I got this a bit of a good deal from FOP. This is one of the Titans of Cult, I think my second Titans of Cult. I've already got Mad Max Fury Road. I'm not a huge fan of these plastic outer boxes because they crack and break really, really easily, but I wanted a decent version of Watchmen for a little while, and that is the director's cut. Watchmen's still probably my favourite Zack Snyder film, but really stoked to track that down. And while we're talking about Zack Snyder, I also managed to find second hand a version of 300, so I did not pay $34.99 for it. This arrived still sealed. This was an HMV exclusive, the 4K version, but I kind of wanted the full slipcase just so I could kind of keep both of the good early Snyders together, and still, again, one of my favourite kind of adaptations of a comic book. The Frank Miller comic is incredible. I have the full set somewhere. Just dug out issue 1, and when I do an unboxing we can take a little look at sort of side-by-side page comparisons, because unbelievably faithful adaptation to the book in both cases, really, apart from slightly changing the ending with Watchmen. But visually, both of these incredibly wonderful adaptations from comic books that I adore. Next up was a second-hand purchase, and this has been re-released as a single, kind of just normal disc on its own version, but this was the original Masters of Cinema release of Mothra. Very, very good fun, very cheesy fun. I enjoy this probably just about as much as I do some of the early Godzilla movies, and it's a nice package with a great poster, really, really nice, well put together book, and a wonderful Mothra poster. Pretty cool, pretty funky. Double-sided too. The mightiest monster in all creation, ravishing a universe for love indeed, in spectacular Toho scope. So yeah, cool, stoked to track that one down. Next one up, another comic book adaptation. This is the Blu-ray special edition of Wanted, which I got really, really cheap through Amazon US. Unfortunately though, the people who sent it out did a really piss poor job of packaging it, i.e. they put no packaging in it at all. So the outer slipcase arrived with a big massive mighty crack down it, but as the sort of design is for a bullet, it's also missing the front of its bullet casing here. Which is not great, but like I say, it was pretty cheap, and the cost of sending this back if I wanted to return it is just not worth it, so I'll keep a hold of it even in its bashed about state. Pretty bonkers adaptation, actually slightly better version of this story than the comic book, which is a bit weird. I slipped this in because I kind of kept this from when I had the old DVD special edition, just to remind myself how nuts the original comic was, written by Mark Millar, a Coatbridge boy, kind of flying the flag for Scottish comic book writers. But it's a weird one. Based most of the character designs on Halle Berry and Eminem. So if you're reading the book, he looks a lot like Eminem, and the Fox character played by Angelina Jolie in the movie is all entirely based on Halle Berry. So it's a bit of a weird one. Very different story, a bit nastier in places and a bit more fantastical, much more comic booky in comic book form. So they did a good job of adapting it. I think it's Timur Bekmenanov. Sorry for entirely destroying your surname, Timur. Visually pretty interesting, and a film that has a warm place in my heart because it came out when I was living in the States. It's kind of one of the movies that I saw when I was living across there. So yeah, for us, quite a lot of Nine Inch Nails in the soundtrack too, which keeps me very happy. But that was the strange US limited edition of Wanted, albeit arrived a little bit fucked. Next up was one from Third Window. This is Porno Star, directed by Toshiaki Toyoda. It's actually his debut film. Crazy movie. Think of it as like, I saw a great review on Amazon actually calling this the little brother of Taxi Driver. I think that's a pretty good analogy, but a good story of sort of disenfranchised youth mixed with a lot of rage. Really visually quite interesting, pretty well shot. Tiny budget, I think it was made for $250,000, which you don't really feel watching it. It's a strange story overall, and a quite interesting central character who speaks very rarely throughout the film, so you don't really get any sense of his motivation, but pretty great movie all in all. I will do a review of this very soon. Another one that there's already an unboxing for up on the channel. This was the HMV exclusive version of The Batman, starring Robert Pattinson. Pretty nice steelbook version, though I do think they missed a trick by putting exactly the same bloody art on both the steelbook and the outer case. Come on guys, work a bit harder and gonna give us something else. But 3-disc version, so 4K and regular Blu-ray. Movie that I did enjoy, very intrigued to see where the franchise goes, but still hasn't supplanted the Nolan Dark Knight trilogy as being my favourite on-screen Batman so far. Speaking of Nolan, this was a random one. This is the Mantalab version of Tenet, but it's just the outer box. I had a couple of different versions of Tenet. I've got the HD Zeta, and then I have the one of the UK steelbooks. But this, I saw the box pretty cheap, and I thought it'd be a nice place to store these. So I'm running out of space. It's nice to be able to kind of compress them into one box. So that is just a fancy laminated Tenet box to take up more room on the shelves. Jumping across to Film Arena, and this is another second-hand purchase. This is one of my favourite of the Mission Impossible movies. This is Rogue Nation, directed by Chris McQuarrie. I think these movies took an enormous jump in quality once Chris McQuarrie started working on the scripts and also directing. Chris McQuarrie, the writer of The Usual Suspects. This one already opened, but a steelbook version with one of these strange little magnetic alternate lenticular covers. Don't know how well that'll work. Pretty cool, pretty funky. This and Fallout, I think, probably the two Mission Impossible movies that I've enjoyed the most. I'm on the lookout for the Film Arena version of Fallout, but it's goddamn expensive. This was pretty reasonable, but we'll see. I either might end up getting the UK steal of that at some point if I can't track down the Film Arena one. Always nice when these things come in a little plastic protector. Speaking of plastic protectors, this is the Arrow version of the live action version of the Guyver, sometimes called the Guyver Dark Hero. Bit of a strange one because I am an enormous fan of the original Guyver animated series. I have this possibly bootleg, suspect it's a bootleg, double DVD with the original 12 episodes of the series that I grew up really loving. Incredible soundtrack, really nice animation. This is nowhere near as good, but it's still pretty good fun, and the effects are quite good, and they really do try their best on a pretty low budget. So one that I've not actually seen for a long time. Again, grateful to whoever managed to track down these protectors for it. Came with its slipcase and its booklet, and a slightly wonky case. Pretty nice. Again, nowhere near as good as the anime. So if you're going to start with the anime, go back and try and find the original series, and not the kind of slightly newer one where the animation wasn't as good. And also avoid the English dub because it sucks. If you can find the original Japanese audio, it's a much better show. So that is Arrow's version of the Guyver. Another Arrow, and this was a random one from the Zavvi sale, because they were selling these off cheap. One of the few times that I've seen an Arrow steelbook with a full slips around. This is 12 Monkeys. A lot of people absolutely hated on the cover. It is a bit of a strange choice. Maybe do an unboxing for this at some point. But a great movie. Terry Gilliam, starring Bruce Willis and Brad Pitt. Pretty great. A kind of loose adaptation of a short film called La Jetée by Chris Marker, which was made entirely from still photographs. I think there's only kind of one or two slight kind of moving frame sections in that little short, but tells a story of kind of like a post-apocalyptic world and time travel, and this does a good job of expanding that into a feature. And one of the better Bruce Willis performances. I think he's kind of a lot more vulnerable than he normally allows himself to be in movies, so yeah, pretty great to track down. Super cheap one, back to Chris Nolan. This is the, I guess, digibook of Dunkirk, so the Blu-ray version, which I got incredibly cheaply. This was like £4 second hand. But yeah, not my favourite Chris Nolan movie, but still pretty damn good, and nice seeing Tom Hardy as a villain again. One from Raven Banner, and again another one I've already done an unboxing for. This is The Autopsy of Jane Doe. Really kind of great little kind of wee sort of horror thriller, starring Brian Cox and Emile Hirsch. Really well put together. Again, pretty low budget, but a great, really inventive movie, and kind of the plot and the storyline kind of really, I find really intriguing. The more that they dig deep into the body as part of the autopsy, the more weirdness is unravelled. But yeah, great, really well put together, and like the artwork on the slipcase from Raven Banner. Speaking of artwork, a super quick one. I think maybe 2 videos ago I showed that I just got a disc on its own from Yuki Paolo, the Blu-ray release of Azure City of Madness. So I made my own cover art for it, and this was just basically doing a sort of version of the out-of-print digipack that sells for stupid amounts of money. So I just kind of used the artwork from that, made my own little case. And speaking of Korean thrillers, this is Midnight. Again, one that I already did an unboxing for. Kind of really great, fantastic little wee kind of thriller. This sort of thriller / serial killer movie set over the course of one night, but beautiful cover art by Go Kaiju on the original slip. Next up, sticking with Korean movies and sticking with Eureka, this is the Tiger, starring the wonderful Cho Min-sik from Oldboy, one that I have yet to open and watch, but again, super cheap. I think Amazon were selling these ones off at a £5, including delivery, which seemed like a pretty good deal to me. Next up is Prisoners of the Ghostland, the insanity that is Nicolas Cage, starring alongside Sofia Boutella in Sion Sono's first English language movie, with a slipcase. Again, very cheap. I think this was about a 99p second-hand purchase, but visually really stunning, and Nicolas Cage doing his full insane cagey cageness in it. So yeah, pretty good fun. One of the only Sion Sono movies I think I actually own on Blu-ray. Sticking with crazy Nick Cage, and this was finally picked up the steelbook for Face Off, one that I've wanted for a little bit of time. This kind of came second-hand from CEX, but in alarmingly good condition for CEX, which makes a very welcome change. Even still had its J-card. Next up from Amazon in France, this was the 15th anniversary edition of Taxi, the Luc Besson produced insane crazy movie, kind of really largely more of a car chase or car racing movie than anything else, but pretty good fun. It had a horrible American remake with Jimmy Fallon and Queen Latifah, but this is the original first movie with Sami Nassiri and the wonderful and very beautiful Marion Cotillard, which was, I think this is the very first movie that I actually saw her in, so pretty stoked to track down this, because I really enjoyed the first two. For 99p, I also picked up a DVD of Taxi 2, which I will find a home for inside the box for this. So yeah, very, very cool. Speaking of Marion Cotillard, this is Rust and Bone. It's the plain archive version. Got very cheap because it's had a little bit of a bash when it was on its way to whoever bought it originally. But a movie that I am still to actually watch. But again, huge fan of Marion Cotillard as an actress. And I think this is apparently an incredibly good performance from her. So let me know if it's one that you've already seen. Really beautiful cover art. Shame it's had a wee bit of a dent, but the price reflected it, so I kind of got it really, really cheap, which for plain archive is not something I can often say. Sticking with plain archives and sticking with plain archives that I got cheap, I had no reason to buy this at all because I already have it on plain archive Blu-ray, but this was the original, or the first edition of it, or a previous edition to the one that I had. I actually do think it might have been edition 2. They've done like 3 different versions of this so far, but it kind of came along with the book and it's still sealed, and I got it for like £8, which again for plain archive almost never happens, and packaged like the bombs inside the movie. So pretty stoked to add another copy. I will probably just keep this one sealed for a good length of time. This is number 347 of 1,350 copies randomly. Still sticking with plain archive, and this was a soundtrack to the wonderful movie The Believer, which I have the fancy box set of. Soundtrack very, very, very good. Soundtrack by Dal Palan, sorry. But yeah, they sent a wee extra little couple of kind of wee CD-sized flyers, and it's nice that the CD comes in a good full-size scannable case too, so pretty cool. Add that to my Believer collection. Another plain archive, and this is #Alive. Kind of great sort of zombie movie, and beautiful, beautiful artwork on it. Last kind of plain archive, because it's not really an actual copy of, oh boy, it's just the slipcase. It's just the slipcase on its own. So again, it was pretty cheap, and I used this to house 2 other Park Chan-wook movies that I don't really have another home for, the 2 tartan versions of A Cyborg and Thirst. So they live in there for the time being. But stoked that it still had this little wee plain archive sticker on the back, and really nice cover art. At some point I might well try and find the steelbook that goes inside this. The person that I got that from was also selling the slipcase for The Wailing, so I've got my eye on the Region A Welgo USA Welgo USA Blu-ray release of the movie, which I will maybe try and find and stick inside here at some point. But this was just a random one that I got at the same time as the Old Boy slip. New one from Eureka, and this is The Shaolin Plot, which is absolutely incredible. A really glorious movie, one that I'd never seen before, and I enjoyed so much. Kind of really, really great storyline in it. Absolutely fantastic fun. Looking forward to checking out the commentary tracks by the wonderful Frank Jeng, and there's also a Mike and Arna commentary track on there too. Sure, one that most of you will have tracked down already. Going back to a few 88 Films releases that I missed first time round. So this was Dragonlord, which I finally managed to find, still with its lobby cards and its poster without it costing a small fortune. Not my favourite Jackie Chan early movie, but still pretty good fun. And the beginning of the sort of churn away from doing martial arts movies and into him doing more stunts-based movies. And that great, fantastic villain from The Young Master coming back again. And Kung Fu Bob cover. So couldn't say no to that. Nor could I say no to Heroes Shed No Tears, the John Woo kind of war classic. Pretty good fun. Always nice to add earlier John Woo to the collection, and again, really nice Bob cover on that. Last 88 Films one for the month, and this is one that again I've just done an unboxing for. This is The Seventh Curse. Incredibly bonkers, absolutely insane movie, and featuring the wonderful and just passed yesterday Ni Kwong, one of my favourite writers of all time, and the guy responsible for almost every single Shaw Brothers movie that I love most dearly. He was the most prolific writer I've ever encountered, really. I think over 300 novels, over 400 film scripts. Incredible, and it's nice seeing him actually on camera, sort of introduced in this movie. And this is a story based on one of his characters that he'd written many books for, but Frank Jeng corrected me yesterday. I thought that originally this was based on an actual book, but it's not. It was a story that he wrote specifically for this movie. But yeah, absolutely fantastic fun, starring the wonderful Chin Siu Ho, an amazing 2-hour interview on here, which highly recommend you watch. It's absolutely fantastic. Broken down to small chunks, so you can kind of watch like 20 minutes, half an hour at a time. But yeah, absolutely incredible. He covers his whole career and he's done so many amazing movies. And really kind of tells some great stories about his time working at Shaw's and time working on the Mr. Vampire movies, all the rest. So yeah, highly, highly, highly recommended. Love these deluxe versions from 88 Films, and this might be actually one of my favourite ones so far. Beautiful, incredible art by Sean Longmore. Really, really stoked to kind of get this. This is actually officially released today. I got mine a bit early because I pre-ordered. One from Amazon in Germany, and this is the re-release of Into the Fat Dragon, the incredible Sammo Hung movie. Also actually written by Ni Kwang. Ni Kwang wrote the script for this, but yeah, really, really good fun. And Sammo doing his best Bruce Lee impression. A very English-friendly disc, so you have English audio as well as English subs on the Cantonese language version too. And there's not even an English audio commentary on here as well. Another one from Amazon, this time from Amazon in the States, and this is the last sort of Hammer and Shaw's collaboration movie. I already have, they call him Mr. Shadder. This one I've been looking for a little while. This is The Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires, starring the wonderful Peter Cushing alongside David Chang. And this is the Shout Factory release from the States. And last, but by no means least, we get into some Vinegar Syndromes. These were both second-hand. I think these were in the nice, glorious magnetic version boxes that like they used for New York Ninja. Got it really to get 16 Strami after my wonderful friends over at the Hong Kong Blu-rays reminded me of how fantastic a movie that was, and I've still never seen it beyond kind of seeing I think a few clips and a lot of trailers back when I was a kid. So I've finally tracked this one down, excited to check it out, and it came as a bit of a double pack. It was actually cheaper to buy both of these than it was to buy this on its own. So I got the Beastmaster thrown in, which was one of my brother's favourite movies when we were kids. So looking forward to kind of revisiting that too, because it's been a very long time since I've seen it. And pretty great artwork all around, really nice packaging. The print work that Vinegar Syndrome do and the quality of these releases is pretty spectacular. So this is VSU-01 and VSU-02. Pretty stoked to track them down. And very lastly, and this literally just came in today just in time for the end of the month, and this is two from Vinegar Syndrome from their partner label special month. And I have to give a shout out to Evie from Vinegar Syndrome. I'd originally actually only ordered one. I'd ordered Airdoll, starring the wonderful Donna Bay. But then my friend Kevin, a long-standing friend of the channel, was telling me about how wonderful Detention was, and he showed me the trailer and sold me on this. So damn you, Kevin, for making me spend more money, but also love you, man, for turning me onto stuff that I wouldn't have otherwise thought to get. And as I'd already placed the first order, I thought I was going to have to place a whole other separate order, but Vinegar Syndrome very kindly, even though I'm not a subscriber, added this into my existing order without charging me any extra shipping and sent me a wee sticker too. Awesome. So again, thank you very, very much to Evie from Vinegar Syndrome. And that is it, guys. That is the last of my ridiculously overstuffed collection of things that arrived in June. Thank you very, very much if you've made it to the end of this. Let me know what you've all been getting in the comments below, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.